Welcome to today's episode, and with me today I have Dan Duran. Welcome, Dan.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes, you bet. Thank you. And so you are a master coach, a 3 decades of coaching, done a lot of, I can imagine the stories of the people that you've helped and all of the things. What you teach is 7 master skills of highly effective real estate entrepreneurs.
Right.
And with that, I'm excited today. You and I were speaking a little bit before the episode here and talking a little bit about time management and the skills that are required, the skill set actually that's required to really make time management work for us. We also talked a little bit about motivation and focus and those types of things. So I'm super excited to hear about what you have to share. And could we start just with a very brief background, maybe share how you got to where you are today?
Sure.
What motivates you at this point?
Yeah. So I've been coaching for over 3 decades. And I had, at one time, I ran a $5 million coaching business back about 8 years ago. And it was great. We had over 500 clients, and it was me and a fellow named Richard Roop. Some people might remember him. And it was fantastic. And it let me really do what I love in life, and that is helping people to make more money and to really have breakthroughs. I co-created Sales Mastery for Real Estate Entrepreneurs. There's probably people in the audience who have used that. That was with my good friend and your good friend too, Willie Hooks. Mm. And Willie and I have known each other for about 35 years. And we've done all sorts of good stuff. I also created a program called The Ultimate Strategy, where it showed you how to buy a house with no cash of your own, 0% interest, which was kind of fun, and put $30,000 cash in your pocket, tax-free the day you buy, not the day you sell, which is kind of interesting. But I'm not here to talk about any of those. I really want to talk about some of the great things we've been able to do in coaching real estate entrepreneurs. And entrepreneurs are my favorite. And of all the entrepreneurs, real estate entrepreneurs, and including that is, people in the private lending business are my absolute favorite, because they got such great attitudes all the time. They're upbeat, they're positive, they're not complaining about stuff, which just really wears me out. So
yeah, it makes life so much easier when you don't have all the drama.
Exactly. Who needs it? Right. So anyway, these master skills are going to really show people how to get the absolute quickest result on the things that are most important to them. So it's going to be a good day.
Okay. So when let's start with, why is it that you coach? What brought you to this space and place of coaching? And I know you and I met about, I think it was 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah.
When we met, and you were changing lives at that point, and I can only imagine what you've done since. So.
Yeah, well, I absolutely love coaching because of one word: fulfillment. Once you get successful, you learn, at least I learned, that money isn't it. I always wanted to make $1 million a year. That was the big thing ever since I was a little boy. I remember the Yogi Bear song. You're smarter than a millionaire. Oh, okay, Yogi, go. But it wasn't making millions. I did that. That was great. I loved it. But the stuff that really sticks with me when I look at the body of work that we've done is when people would come up to me at events, or even on the phone when we're doing conferences, say, Dan, you saved my marriage. Dan, you saved my life. Dan, I bought this beautiful house for my wife. I bought this house for mama. Just the stuff that people do. And that's what really, really feels good. So that's why I'm in the coaching business.
Yeah. And I'm happy to hear that you share the things of more than just real estate, more than just work.
Yeah.
I mean, the coaching that I know you work with Willie Hooks quite a bit. And
yeah, we've been associates for a long time.
Yeah. Amazing coach. And so the fact that when we look at things from a holistic or like a big picture perspective, our work and what we do really is only a part of our lives, obviously. And so if there are ways where we can improve ourselves with the work we do, it's going to spill over with our personal lives. If we improve things in our personal lives, it's going to spill over in the work we do. And so I'm glad to hear, I'm excited to hear what you have to share about that part of it, because I can't remember. I think I was talking to Alex, my business partner, the other day, and I was saying, just this seems so basic, but life is about attitude.
Yes, yeah.
Life is about attitude. So the more that we can do to protect and foster or promote or increase that aspect, I mean, that's really where the value comes in. So so if you let's start with what the master skills are, and then you can possibly share or see how that ties in between the personal life and the business life.
Sure, will do. Hey, so first of all, they call me master coach because I've trained a lot of coaches, and I've actually created several different coaching programs. The master skills are, there's basic skills that you have to have, like time blocking. If you're not blocking your time, you're going to get interrupted. You're not going to get anything done. You need to have your goals in writing. We're going to talk about all these kinds of things that people know, but there's just a little nuance that makes the difference between a basic skill and a master skill. And if you really want to achieve your results fast, you'll want to grab hold of these master skills that I go over today and show you how to do it. So if I was to be so bold, I would tell you, to be really successful in this business, motivation is not the key. Desire is not enough. And passion isn't enough. It's great that people are passionate, that they're motivated, and they're hungry. But to really achieve accelerated results, you've got to work on your skills. And studying and implementing the master skills is, in my opinion, the fastest path to your goals. And I like to say, Tom, there's two ways to build a business. You can build it fast now, or you can build it fast later.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to get some momentum going. And you can tell a lot about just think about a jumbo jet taking off. It's got to get to 165 miles an hour, or it's not getting off the ground. Yeah. So if you're out there and you're tooling down the road with your business, and you're doing 35 miles an hour, well, we know two things. One, we know you're not getting off the ground, and we know exactly where you're going to crash and burn. Yeah. So I encourage everyone to say, let's get there as fast as possible. Imagine how great it would be to finish your stuff early in the week, finish early in the month, finish early in the year. And be successful at the same time.
Yeah, and so now you have my interest definitely peaked.
Good.
The 7 master skills.
Yeah, and we're going to also talk about productivity in general, and so it's good to preface that up front to set it up. People think you know what productivity is, but you might not. See, it's not about how much you accomplish, and it's not about how busy you are. What it really is in regards to what are the key things that are important to you? What are the most important things to you? Are you getting those done? And are you getting those done on a timely basis? That's what real productivity is.
And what do you have for advice for people who have a challenge deciding what is, they always say there's the urgencies and there's the priorities. A lot of times the priorities are more important than the urgencies in the long run, where the urgencies tend to take over because they're urgent, right? And so how do you coach people into really getting real clarity on what is the highest priority? What is the best use of their time and effort?
Well, that's a really great question. And I'm going to talk about that as we go today. But the key is to continually tie back to your big why. What is your vision? Why are you doing all this stuff? Nobody wants, we talked about money earlier, and I talk about money all the time. And I love money, but guess what? Money isn't the key. In fact, nobody even wants money. Mm-hmm. If I offered you $1 million, would you take it? Maybe. But what if I told you you can only look at it, you can't spend it? It's in a glass box, it's unbreakable, No one wants that. You want the stuff. And you don't even want the stuff, you want the feeling that money can bring you.
Yeah, and that even ties right back to real estate itself. I would say there was a time in my life where I just absolutely loved buying single family homes. And I still really enjoy that part of the business. But when you really think about it, when it boils right down to it, it's not what real estate we own. It's not even what money we have. It's what we can do with with our life and where we're at with
exactly
what we're doing.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree completely. Well, let's jump right in, huh? Well, you want to know the first master skill?
Yes, that'd be great.
Here it is. I'm going to always compare and contrast them to a normal skill. So time blocking, hopefully you all have heard about that. If not, that's where you set up your week in advance and you block out the time you're going to work on this business. And then what you do is you take your stuff that you've worked on. So you set a goal, you make your plan, and then you're going to plan out your work by, cutting those things into executable steps, something you can get done in 45 minutes or less. And that goes on your calendar. Then you check your results, you modify, and you repeat the process. That's basic time management skills. But there's something that beats that. And that is a thing called focus. Okay. So people are always asking us, how do you get so much done? Well, we know how to focus. So let's just pretend that there's two of you. I didn't prepare you for this. So this is just right off the cuff. So there's the A version of Tom and the B version, just to separate them. One's A, one's B. So A comes to the week. I don't know when you start, but let's just say you start Monday morning, jump right in and get to work. Okay. There's a lot of people listening. They say, yeah, that sounds like something good to do, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. What if you had a fight with the spouse or the kid or the dog or the parents? Or maybe you got into some nonverbal cues with people driving in, on the freeway, which is why I always wear mittens. So I don't get in trouble there. But the point is so that's the A person jumps right in. The B version of you, visualize, you get to the office or get to wherever you're going to work, and you say, let me get centered first. Let me remind myself of why am I doing this to begin with? In case you're not familiar with the big why says, step ahead in time and pretend you had all the money, all the time. To do anything you want. What would you do with that time and that money? How would you spend it? And that's the stuff that's really important. And you got to remember that. Otherwise, it's going to go away. So get really clear. So version B gets really clear. And you might even go to one step further. And that is to create an appreciation list. I have an appreciation list that's a couple computers long. I mean, I literally have thousands of things on my appreciation list. Like, thank you for my sight. Thank you that I can smell. Thank you for touch, taste. Thank you for this chair. Just everything in my world, I want to be in love with it. So that helps raise my mood. That raises my attraction. If you're into law of attraction, this is the way to get it to work. But either way, you want to feel really great when you're done with that. Do you see that if you did that, the B version of you would be feeling great right now?
Yes. And I can say my experience has been, if, like you just said, the things you're thankful for, or I call it the grateful list. What am I grateful for?
Right.
And I find when I'm kind of feeling like, I'm not in the best energy mood, whatever, and I go back and think about the things I'm grateful for, the people I'm grateful for, everything that's out there, it really does have a positive effect on everything that we're doing.
It sure does. You perform much better. It's like being in love. When you're in love, the whole world's delicious, right? I mean, nothing can go wrong. You can step right in the middle of some dog doing, on the go. Isn't that great? Sort of like one of my affirmations is, I never complain, and I reframe everything as positive. Yeah. There's always something positive to find. And if there isn't, just look somewhere else.
And how? Just a quick note on that one. How did you get yourself into that habit of doing it? Because I'm sure there are going to be listeners. I know I'm thinking, wow, that is I've done that. I've worked that, but it doesn't always stick. Do you have any advice? Any thoughts? How did you get it to stick and really be part of your way of living?
Well, yeah, so it's part of my morning ritual. I get up in the morning, talk to God, and he says to say hi, by the way. But, your higher power doesn't have to be God in the traditional religion. So don't be afraid if you don't have that. But your higher power, everyone can tap into a higher power. Your higher power can just be nature. And then I have experienced what I'm like when I don't take time to get centered, and I have been bothered, and you think it's not going to bother you, but it does. You got to really get it clear. So it's just a lot of practice. Yeah. And what I used to do, and this is one thing I encourage my clients to do, is don't do this once a day. Do this 6 times a day, where you take time out, even just 30 seconds, to visualize what it is that you think you're up to. Visualize that $5 or $10 million business. Visualize the money in the bank. The boats, the yachts, the, helping charity, all that kind of stuff, and get that feeling, and then get into business. So my question is given the 2 versions of you there, Tom, the A or the B, who's going to find better deals? The B, right?
Yes. Definitely.
The guy who took the version of you who took time out. Who's going to make more money? B. Who's going to have less stress? B. Who's going to be happier? B. Who do you want to be? be,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So sometimes it pays to be the bee.
So true.
So the bottom line here is if you take time to do that and can actually now focus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've had times where you get more done in 45 minutes than you might have in 3 days.
Yeah.
You with me on that?
Yeah, totally.
Wouldn't it be great to be able to get that way on command whenever you wanted it?
Yeah.
That's the process.
And have that habit of blocking time, setting it aside. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but blocking the time is the basic thing. The master skill is to show up with phenomenal focus.
Mm.
And again, how do you focus? First of all, you get aligned, like we just talked about. You think about the things that are most important to you. You look at the appreciation, your mood goes up, and then you look at the stuff and you get it done. And it's just, you wake up and 45 minutes are gone in a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love the way you framed it too. It's like steps that we get to follow. And
yeah.
That's how we stay consistent.
We have a famous line that education without implementation is just entertainment. And I hope we entertain, but the real key here is to get you some stuff that you can go and use.
Yes.
So, if you're taking notes, and I hope you are, make a note. You got to implement this stuff. So what am I going to do to get focused? Real simple. Go look at your big why. If you don't have a big why, get one. Get an appreciation list, a gratitude list. If you don't have one, start one. And add to it every single day, and make sure you go over that before you dive into the deep end of your work.
Yes, powerful, great. So that's that's number one.
Number one, focus trumps time management any day, although time management again is necessary. Number two, well, let me just ask you. There's some problems that I know some people run into. Imagine there's some people on the line who are not quite masters of their craft yet, and they would really love to get to the point where they can make the best decisions possible. Would you like to make better decisions? Would you like to avoid making bad decisions? And the problem with bad decisions in our business, it's a two-edged sword. The reason I chose this business is big transaction value, right? Minimum $30,000 you can make on a typical deal, or I don't know what your average is on the private money side. But it's a lot of money. Likewise, you make a mistake, it goes the other way. It can be really expensive.
Yeah.
So how do you avoid that? How do you get to the point where you're really confident with your decisions? And we saw this happening over and over again in the home buying business. So what we did was we sat down and helped the individual entrepreneur create some reusable material. See, one of the things that you find as an entrepreneur, you're always creating stuff that's going to help you with the business. Most of us, though, have the attitude of, okay, well, let me just create this once and then I'm done with it. I'd like you to switch that mindset if you could and think, every time I create something, I'm going to need it again in the future. Like if it's a hiring template, guess what? You're going to, this is not the last employee you're going to have. Or a sales call, you want to be able to make stuff that you can go on and have over and over again. So we sat down and just a whole bunch of questions. What are you looking for when you buy? How do you know if it's good or not? And I actually have this very detailed
template.
Thank you very much. I just was looking for it because you're going to actually make this available to you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to pull mine up right here.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at this thing, it's kind of fun looking. It's a decision tree. It's going to go question, and then answers are going to break off. So it goes like this. And this is just one individual. So it's a new house. Is it a light rehab? Yes or no? Because most of my guys don't want to do the heavy rehab. If it's foundational work, that you can get lost in that.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a no, then the answer is wholesale it quickly. If it's yes to light rehab, the question is it a desirable area? If yes, keep moving. If no, wholesale it. Mm-hmm. Does it have at least 30% net equity? Net equity, that's important. And of course, this is totally variable based upon what you're looking for.
Yeah.
But if the answer to that is yes, then it keeps going. But if it's not, then you ask yourself, can I break even on the purchase? And if that's a no, wholesale it. If it's a yes, then what can I make at least a negative cash flow of $200 or better? Okay, because that's what most people's comfort zone is. Then keep going. And can I net $30,000 on the back end? If all of those are yes, lease option. If any of those are no, it's wholesale. And when I say wholesale, that could just be a phone call where you call a friend and go, hey, you want this? Give me $3,000 or whatever. Because it's not, you don't want to make the mistake of trying to be expert at every part of this business.
Yeah.
You know, it is good to be good at the whole thing, but if you know what your sweet spot is, stick to that.
Yeah. Yeah. We always talk about teamwork and collaboration, getting an alignment of interest with everyone on the team so that this fits right in with that.
Yeah. So like when people look at this, and everyone should look at, I'll give this to you so you can make it available to them.
Yeah.
But when you look at this thing, it doesn't look like much, but it took about a half a day of some real brilliant brains working on this the first time. But once you do several of these, you get better and better at it. But the big thing is you could literally hand this to someone who could barely spell real estate, and they could go out and buy a house and not make a mistake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. No, thank you for sharing that, and we will make it available to.
Yeah, and then I would encourage you to put your business model into one and send it back to me. I'd love to see it.
Okay. Yeah.
One of my the way, and we've never talked about this before, but one of my key things that I'm always teaching my guys when it comes to private lending is to ask yourself, hey, look, if I bought this house today as a long-term keeper, would I be thrilled with the price and terms? If yes, proceed. If no, well then, if it's not something worth you buying, maybe it's not worth you lending on too.
Yeah,
that's just the way I look at things. So I look forward to seeing your decision tree. But the point of this is, so that's the microscopic. The point of this is, as entrepreneurs, we are continually creating stuff. Don't think it's the last time you're going to need this. Always say, what else can I do with this? Because, like, for example, just this, what we're doing here, this multi-purpose, right? I mean, you could use this in your iPod collection, but how about in a training? Someone calls up, maybe you're in something and they have a question like about time management. Oh, you should go listen to Dan. He had some good things to say. You could also get this transcribed and have it as an article. I mean, all sorts of things. So always look at your product as, how else can I repurpose this? Make sense?
Yes, definitely. Great. So number 2 is about being confident in your decision making.
Well, yeah, and the way you get confident in your decision making is you have one of these decision trees.
Got it.
Because we've already done the thinking. We have a saying that says, you like this, don't think during the week. Don't think during the week. Do your thinking on the weekend. Create your decision tree on the weekend. That's working on your business. When you're in your business, don't think. Just go, let me see. Okay, that pass, or that fail. Gone. It's done. Get out of here. Move on. You see wouldn't that be great to have that kind of confidence, even if you're relatively new in the business?
And with that confidence is decisiveness. With decisiveness is action. And
exactly.
So it all comes together. Absolutely.
Exactly. You got to have action.
Yeah. Great. So that's number 2. How about number 3?
Number 3. Okay. I'm going to assume that we have some perfectionists on the line with us. I'm almost of the opinion that it's a prerequisite to being an entrepreneur is to be a procrastinator and a perfectionist. So beware. All right. So here's the basic skill. Get the job done, whatever it is that you're asking of yourself or someone else is. Get the job done. And it's great if you can even do it perfectly. All right. Well, you could go about it that way, but the master skill says, why don't you do just exactly what's required and nothing beyond that? And that's it's kind of un-American almost to think about that. Yeah. So if you need 10 widgets, get me 10 widgets exactly. I don't want 12.
Yeah.
I don't want 8. I want 10.
That's great. Have you ever heard, has Willie shared with you, I'm sure he has, his
MBA story?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I'm going to tell that right now.
Oh, sweet. Yeah, I love
that story. I knew him when he was going through it.
I think of that a lot when I get caught up in the perfectionist.
Exactly. Yeah.
So.
And people actually think that perfectionism is good. It's actually not. It's a form of procrastination, and it's really born out of fear. And the perfectionist says, and I suffer from this too, so that's how I know it so well. But the perfectionist says, hey, look, I could turn it in on time if I wasn't so concerned about the quality. Well, so you just get yourself a pass to be late. I mean, that's no good. I'd rather have a bad book than no book. Okay, I'd rather have a bad plan than no plan. So you got to take it. So the story of Willie is, and a lot of people, because I think he might have mentioned that on one of the calls with you, but basically Willie was getting his MBA, and he's out in the hall one day early on, and he's writing on a little piece of paper, and the professor walks by and says, "Willie, what are you doing?" He says, "I'm just writing down what grades I want to get. And he says, what do you mean what grades? Well, like in this class here, I love this subject, so I'm going to get an A. This class here is like, I couldn't stand, I hate this. This would take me forever to get good at. I'm going to get a C on that, maybe a C minus. This one here, I'll get a B. And the professor looks, he says, oh my God. This is just blowing the professor's mind.
Yeah.
Why don't you want to get A's in all of them? And Willie says, I don't need A's in all of them. All I need is a B average.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, and it's funny. I've used that for years,
Mm-hmm.
where it's really, really paid huge dividends, even though I mostly do my coaching and consulting in real estate. I also do others. And I did a program recently, about 2 years ago. It was called How to Write a Book in a Weekend. Mm-hmm. And it was by a digital marketer out of Texas. And they attracted a great group. So I ran around the country talking to people kind of like us, that had already had careers, been mm-hmm. successful. They just always wanted to write a book. Well, there were a lot of people in there with a lot of initials after their name, and they were the worst. These were smart people who had done great things, and they had lots of money. And guess what? They procrastinated like crazy because of the perfectionism. So I told them the Willie story, and I said, listen, go out there and get me a C+, or maybe a B minus. Yeah. But the point is here's what you really have to look at. When you do more, and I was totally, I was valedictorian in high school and college, and what a waste. If I could do it again, I'd just go for C's. Because no one ever asked you, show me your transcript. Yeah. The reality is when you look at this, when you go out and you get 12 instead of 10, the 2 that you got are of zero value to anyone except you and your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
We think we think it's getting better, but it's not.
And it is so true that perfectionism. I've come to realize that just recently, that perfectionism is a form of procrastination. And
exactly.
The book thing, it took me way longer, far longer than it ever should have for me to complete it. As of right now, it's going to Kindle this
week. Good for you.
It's going to publishing next week. So finally I got it done, but I can't tell you how many times I found myself procrastinating on it because I felt like it wasn't going to be good enough.
Yeah. The other thing I used to tell my people is don't worry about it. The average book only gets to page 15.
Yeah, right.
So don't worry about page 16.
Yeah, what is it? 80% of people, or 80% of the books that are purchased aren't read, or something.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but that was a really freeing thing, and so all of a sudden, all these people who'd been with me for weeks, and it was only a 90-day coaching program. So we really had to get results fast. And as soon as they bought in, and it wasn't easy to talk them down from the A+ to even the B+. I mean, oh my God, a B. They also see their work as them. That's me over there. So if you say something bad about my work, you're saying something bad about me. It's just my work. I'm separate from it.
Yeah, it's a mind game. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for
anyway, so just remember, you will waste all that time. You think about that. That time will never come back to you. Okay. It didn't do anybody any good. And so don't do it. Just do good enough. Now, it doesn't mean do less than. So if you ask me to get 10 widgets and I only bring you 9, I failed.
Yeah.
Okay. I still need to get the job done, but I don't need to go out and get 15.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Got it. Okay. Good. That's number 3.
Number 3. Yeah. So, number 3 is just good enough is great. Mm-hmm. Number 4 is, we talked about this before the program began. We have done more work in time management than probably any subject. And we got a lot of subject we coach on, but because people are always asking for that stuff. Mm. Have you ever, Tom, think back to when you were younger and not quite as smart. Did you ever do something that sounded like it was going to be good, and it took up 6 months or more of your time, and then it failed?
Absolutely.
And then you go and you look back on it, and to make matters worse, you go, why was I even doing that? That's not even in line with my philosophy of life or what I say is important to me.
Yeah, so true.
You want to give us an example of one?
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple of investments early on.
Yeah.
That I got involved with. There was, it was an investment strategy that I just spent so much time. It wasn't real estate related, but I spent so much time on it. And at the time, it just seemed like it was just, it would have been amazing if it had worked out, but they're just looking back at it. The pieces of the puzzle just weren't there to make it all happen.
Yeah, yeah. And I think if you look back on it, you'll see some of the weaknesses why it did make sense,
Mm-hmm.
for you to be doing that. And I've done that. I just think of all the different boxes of business cards I had, growing up in the 20s, in my 20s, and all the jumping around I did.
And that's probably part of the entrepreneur DNA, right?
Yeah, exactly. But imagine if you would have been told this. Listen, and by the way, I'm going to count this as probably the single biggest tip I could give anyone around time management. And that is, don't put it on your plan if you don't plan to complete it. That sounds a little weird. Don't put it on your plan if you don't have an intention to get it done, no matter what.
Yeah.
Because see, otherwise, that's all that wasted time. Like we were just talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're never going to get that back.
Yeah.
It's a finite amount.
Yeah.
So what you do instead, let me give you some steps. So you want to take a moment before you answer yourself or anybody else. Should I take on this task? Should I take on this project? Okay. Am I willing to complete this project? Am I willing to see it through to the end? And here's the big one. Does it really contribute to solving a problem or capturing an opportunity or making me money? If it's no to those, and see, our mind works kind of interesting ways, is at least this happens to me, probably you too. I see a better way to do something. And I go, oh, that's a better way to do that. But see, I like to run it through the checklist, because what I usually find is just because it's a better way, guess what? It doesn't mean it's worth doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could just be a better way. If there's no return, what is the return?
Yeah.
What is the return? So
so I really like that one, because I make a lot of lists. I mean, I'm constantly working off of to-do lists.
Yeah.
And to be able to put something on the to-do list and move it to a spot where either it doesn't happen anymore, or at least putting it out far enough where it really fits in the schedule.
So you're talking about it just you keep moving it over and over.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's a sign that there's something going on there.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about how to get around that in just a minute. But one of the problems with moving stuff is you're teaching your subconscious it's okay to move stuff. Not good. Now, if you have to move every now and then, good. But you want to put, you're going to find out the magic number is 3. Put 3 things down, get 3 things done.
Mm-hmm.
Just get it done.
Yeah.
Just get it done.
Yeah.
And I've got some tips on how to do
Great.
that.
Great.
But the big thing is take a moment and pause before you jump into things, no matter how good they look. It's the shiny object syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Things look good, let's get on it. And then 6 months into, you go, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have been doing any of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So does it move us toward what we truly desire? Now, number 5, this is an interesting one, because I'm a real positive person, and I'm going to actually recommend to people that they look at failure every day. It sounds kind of strange, I know. So the basic skill is to visualize what you want. Everyone knows that. Take time to visualize what you want. But you also want to look at if I don't get it. And the reason for that is there's 2 basic kinds of motivation. What we call constructive, which do it because of the inherent reward, or restrictive, do it or else, some pain. But here's the thing. Even though constructive is usually more appealing to people, do it because I'm going to get this thing, be able to buy this house, be able to have this yacht, be able to help the poor. Pain is a great motivator. In fact, if it weren't for pain, the sales of everything would go way down, because when someone's in pain, that's when you come in and solve their problem.
Yeah.
So what I recommend is at least once a day, in addition to looking and feeling like what I want, I also look at what if I don't achieve this, and the answer is going to. And I just say, I keep everything on my smartphone. I mean, I could just live. The old, what would you take to a desert island? All I need is a smartphone and the wife. And okay, maybe some food, but anyway, the smartphone, I work my whole life off it. So I'm always looking in there. I'm always feeling. I'm always visualizing, where I'm headed. But then I also take time at least once a day to say, what if I don't achieve this? And oh my gosh, I write scary stuff like, oh, we'll be out in the streets. I'll lose the house. I'll be embarrassed. I'll be bankrupt. I'll have no money. I'll have to walk, just terrible. And I'm kind of making a joke out of it, but you want to look at that other side and see how that's going to be, see how that's going to feel. And if it
Yeah.
doesn't feel good, then that wakes you up. And so that pain can motivate you to get stuff done.
So
So
cool. Good.
every now and then, focus on the negative. It's what we call. We have this thing called. Do you want to be eating cat food or caviar?
Yeah.
And the cat food just means anything that's bad, and caviar just means anything that's good.
Yeah.
I've actually never even eaten caviar that I can recall, and I don't think I've eaten cat food. But I know what it smells like, and it's not something I'd like to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at it. You want to look at that, and you're basically putting your nose right in the cat food.
Yeah.
Once a day and go, yuck, I don't want that. Let's go back and achieve the goal. Okay.
Got it.
So not only looking at the positive, but also look at the negative so that I can use the other part of my brain. That's really the oldest part of the brain, which responds really well to fear and pain. Okay. Do we still have some time? You want to keep going? We can.
Yeah. Let's go through the rest. And that one, that's one that I had never, I've never implemented that one. So
yeah, it's a good one to do, because I don't know about you, but I get way more movement out of yeeks, emergency. You need to go get, $100,000. Okay. Whereas if, if I'm not looking at the stuff, which is the reason why it's important to look at your stuff on a regular basis.
Good. So
okay, number 6.
Failures every day. So number 6. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you?
Oh, no, that's good.
Yeah, look at your failure, but don't make a big deal of it. Just a real quickie, feel bad, and then move on, and then make sure you feel good before you end your session there. Now this one is really amazing. This one, well, here, let me tell you the story. I had these 2 clients came to me, and I was coaching them, and they'd been in coaching for about 6 months, and they were just not doing well. They were not romantically intertwined, but it was a man and a woman, and the man was $65,000 in debt. And she was dead broke. So she was actually ahead of him because she was just broke. He was 65 in debt. Okay. So maybe you've known some people like this. And, I've been in these situations before. So nothing wrong with it. You are where you are. But here's the deal. I got them using this next secret. I got them to make over $100,000 in less than 90 days.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing? Would you like to know how?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I use a trick that everyone knows. It's called the reticular activating system, or RAS, or RAS. And what it does is it's a net-like group of cells at the base of the brain. It kind of acts like an executive secretary. It allows personally profitable data to come in, or threats. But there's way too much data in the world to have everything come in. So it's going to screen them out. And have you ever had this happen to you where you learn a new word and then you see it 3 or 4 times in print the next week?
Yeah.
Or you're looking at buying a new car, you buy a new car, and then you see that new car everywhere?
Right.
What happened? Well, it's always been there, right? It's just that it was never of real value to you until you needed it. So the basic skill is to set goals and then implement them step by step. The master skill is to what I call recruit the reticular. You want to get your reticular activating system involved. So what I had these two people do is I said, you need to, first center yourself, get in a good mood, and then forget about reality, and just say, see the $100,000 in this case. It could have been anything, but they never made $100,000 a year, let alone 90 days. So this was impossible to them. Mm-hmm. So they needed to make it possible. And then ask questions. How can I possibly make $100,000 in the next 90 days? And I had them do that every single day. And guess what? After a couple of days, the reticulars come up. Oh, I just remembered something at 11 o'clock at night. There was that house that we looked at on 3rd Street. And the guy said, maybe I should call him back. Did you ever call him back? Let's call him. And boom, stuff is just coming out of the woodwork.
I could see where that'd be very powerful, because it's happened for me. When we can get to that space and really imagine it and make it be part of what we're aiming for, that just absolutely, that's a great one.
Yeah, and the key about the reticular activating system, though, is people think that they need to have all of the information, all of the answers up front to set the goal. No, the goal comes first, and then you see. Yeah, then been blinded to this other stuff because it wasn't important to you until just now. I'll be in situations where people go, I'll say, well, that's interesting, but I don't know how to do that. But then again, I didn't need to know how to do it until just right now.
Yeah.
Be open to it, open up my reticular, and instead of using it just accidentally, like with the car example or with the word example, let's use it intentionally, where we're going to say, I'm going to go for a really big goal. I'm going to let my reticular help me get there.
Yeah, without worrying about the logic right at that point and making sure all the dots connect.
Exactly.
If I understand you correctly, it's imagining it first and then opening that space so that allows the dots to connect at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And just know that it's going to serve you if you continually stay plugged into it. So that means every day you got to ask, what's my goal? How am I doing?
Yeah.
What's my goal? How am I doing? What's my goal? How am I doing? What's my goal? How am I doing? And then we stay focused, as opposed to wake up 90 days later and go, what was my goal?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like if you want to have fun, we're coming into January here when we record this. Just for fun, ask people that you see over the next couple of weeks what their resolution was for the new year.
Yeah.
And come back February 1st and ask them. And I think it's something like only like 4% of people are going to remember what their goal was. You know.
Yeah.
So you got to stay on top of it. What's my goal? How am I doing? What's my goal?
So true. All right. Great.
True story about that. And then the final one is again another time management help, and that is winning in the week. Have you ever woken up at the end of a year and you look back and you go, oh my gosh, I didn't achieve the most important stuff that I had originally wanted to do 12 months ago? Okay? Well, that happens to all of us. You got to be careful about that. But you see, you didn't fail in the year, and you didn't even fail in the quarter or the month. You know where you fail? It's in the week, because our life is made up of a bunch of weeks. I mean, you could go down to the day and the hour and the minute, but seriously, if you look at this, instead of the big picture, okay, I want to get this done by December. Instead, you want to make sure that you win every single week. And how do you win in the week? You intentionally pick high priority items from your plan that you said these are important things that need to get done, and they're all in 45-minute blocks or less. Okay. Then you're going to make sure you pull off at least 3 every single day. And this makes it fun. So sometimes planning can be a real bore for people, but if you look at it, oh, let me go find 3 fun things, Easter eggs. Okay. I'm going to find these. I'm going to go find 3 things that I can go do today, which will move me through my week in the right direction. And here's sort of a sage way of looking at that. You cannot get to right places taking wrong steps. Can't. Yeah. And the flip side of that is you cannot get to wrong places taking right steps. So if you take the right steps every day during the week and you string those weeks together at the end of the year, guess what you're going to have? Way before the end of the year, you're going to have wild success. Way more than you would have had otherwise. So focus. What are 3 key things I can pull off my plan to get done today so that I can win in the week? And it's make you feel good as well.
Nice.
So
nice.
There you go.
Wow. So there you have the 7 steps. That's a lot of really good information. How, if someone's interested in learning more about this or about your coaching, how would they reach out to you?
Real simple, just by email. I've had the same email for a long time. It's Dan W. Duran. It's DORAN at Gmail. So I say it Dan Duran, but it's actually an O. I'm Irish. Dan W. Duran, DORAN at gmail.com. Yeah, send me one. And if you could put in the subject line, Tom Braegelmann, that would be good, because then I would actually read that one as opposed to what I do with most of them. So yeah, send me an email. I'll be more than happy to help you or to explain something that you didn't get or whatever you need. I'm here to help.
Excellent. No, I really appreciate that. This is great. Any advice or any last comment that you'd like to share before we wrap this up?
Well, I'd like to go back to my original thesis, and that is to achieve outrageous success and do it quickly. Motivation, desire, passion, those are not enough. It's good to have all those, but if you really want to consistently get your work done and increase your capabilities, then you need to study and implement these master skills, as it's the fastest path to the important stuff in your life. Yeah. So get it and take it and go.
Excellent. Good. Well, Dan, this has been a real pleasure. I'm looking forward to implementing some of these tactics that you've shared already. And
yeah, and thanks for letting me come on and share with the folks. And anytime, I would love to help anybody who needs it. And in closing, education, okay, without implementation is just entertainment.
Yeah.
Our goal was not to entertain. Our goal was to get you something you can use. Take 1 or 2 or 3 of these, implement them, and reap the rewards. And then send me a note. I'd love to hear about it. So thanks.
Great. Thank you, Dan.
All right. See ya. Bye-bye.
To schedule your one-on-one coaching call, simply text or call Dan at 360-631-1075.